Hi everyone, Matiram here with another Tales from the Table. And the story I'm going to tell you guys about today is actually from my current D&D group. We're playing 2nd edition Dungeons & Dragons, and in that group we have a thief by the name of Lloyd. When we put together his character, he was really interested in getting kind of some unusual weapons. Didn't really want to go with the same thief thing that everybody does, the short sword, dagger, what have you. So for his first 2 weapon proficiencies, for his starting character, he took longsword and lasso. He also took the rope use proficiency, so he's like really good with the lasso, and it counts as a ranged attack, so his dexterity factors into it. So he's actually pretty good with it. And he had gone through pretty much the whole campaign getting ribbed on by the rest of the players because he was a thief that had lasso proficiency instead of dagger. So it's like when the group found a magical dagger, obviously he couldn't use it, or at least not use it very well. In terms of actually dealing damage, his longsword was really what he relied on, but he loved the idea of the lasso. He tried to use it in a variety of different ways. It helped him with his climbing, stuff like that. Pretty standard stuff, actually. And it was moderately useful, but that amount of moderate usefulness didn't really save him from the constant jokes from the rest of the party. Until this particular adventure I'm going to tell you guys about. The group was going through a dungeon, and in one of the dungeon rooms, they stumble upon a giant troll. Now, this troll is like 15 feet tall, big enough to pick up a human in his hands, but he's in a relatively small room. Like, big enough for him to fit in and out of course, but not really big enough for the group to unleash fiery balls of doom, which has pretty much been the modus operandi of the mage in this party for quite a while. Particularly when dealing with something that needs regeneration, or that has regeneration, so needs fire to be dealt with. So with that not being able to be done, the group decides to go into hand-to-hand combat with it. And they're fighting. Get a couple of good hits on it, but the regeneration is starting to come in. Now, Lloyd, up to this point, he had leveled up a little bit, so he'd gotten his 3rd weapon proficiency, which was the bow. So he's like hanging in the back, firing arrows at it. Not really anything of a big deal. Not really, at least to all involved, not really contributing a lot to that combat. So the party starts doing some damage, and it's starting to anger the troll, of course. And they see that it's regenerating, so the cleric in the party comes up with a torch. It's the only source of fire in the room. The troll just wails the hell out of this cleric. He's down, or not down, he's really low in hit points, but he's the cleric, so he's like, okay, whatever, I'll heal myself, no big whoop. So everybody's trying to fight for it, and next round's initiative comes up, and in 2nd edition Dungeons & Dragons, the way the initiative works is that you roll your die, D10, that's the initiative count that you start your casting on, and then each spell has a casting time, and if you're hit within that period from the time of your roll to the time the spell goes off, the spell is disrupted. So because he was still up in his face, he starts praying and chanting, and the troll clubs him and picks him up in the air in the midst of the casting. Spell is ruined. He's at 1 or 2 hit points, and pretty much at the whim of this troll to rip him to pieces the next turn. He's yelling at, the priest is yelling at the wizard to go ahead and fireball the troll and not worry about him, and just he's expecting to go out in a blaze of glory because he doesn't feel like he has any really any choice. So the group is pretty much at this point mentally preparing themselves to lose their cleric. And Lloyd says, and Lloyd, by the way, is the character's name, not the player's name. I'm not going to ID players here, but so Lloyd's player looks at me and goes, "I take out my lasso." Everyone's like, "What the fuck are you going to do with a lasso?" And so he's like, "All right, I'm going to whip my lasso around and I'm going to hit the cleric with the lasso and catch him in the arm or the leg, whatever I can get to." So I'm like, "Okay, go ahead and roll it." Boom! Rolls like a 19 on the die. Boom! Catches the arm of the cleric. And I look at him and I go, "All right, so you've got one end of this rope attached to the cleric. The cleric's being held by this giant troll. What do you think you've accomplished?" And he says to me with a perfectly straight face, "I'm going to pull the rope as hard as I can and yank the cleric free." So I'm like, "All right, we're going to do opposed strength checks. You're looking at a strength 19 from this troll. Your strength, I think Lloyd's strength is 10. Whoever beats their strength check by more wins it and gets to pull free the cleric, or tear the cleric in half in the case of the troll." So we go ahead and toss it. Lloyd rolls a 2. The troll rolls a 19. So Lloyd succeeded by 8 and yanks the cleric free, dragging him across the room, and the mage proceeds to unload his fireball wand in the face of this troll and just blows it to kingdom fucking come. And it literally, I mean, the fights that they dealt with later on, if they had not had a cleric, it almost certainly would have been a party wipe. So at this point, this whole interaction has made the lasso like super important to the group. And it's one of those things that he's probably only used it to actual game effect twice, but even when you choose a stupid weapon, when that stupid weapon succeeds in literally saving the lives of the entire party, it's certainly something that just will stick with this character forever. I think no matter what happens to this character as the past goes, he's still going to be kind of known amongst the group as lassoing Lloyd. So, my general lessons for that is let the players make the choices that they want to. You never know when something that they've taken for a flavor reason is going to come out to be a big deal, whether it's a big deal in story-wise or a big deal in like this situation where a 50-foot length of rope literally saved the entire party's life, and that's not something that I think anyone had guessed at when the character was made. And it was great because it let Lloyd's player feel validated. He felt like, yeah, he made a choice for flavor and for fluff reasons, but it had a great impact. And I mean, I could have easily, as from a DM's point of view, go, okay, you wrap the cleric and then this giant troll just kind of whips you both around like a yo-yo. But I wanted to give them the shot, and by giving them the shot, it led to just a hilarious set of circumstances, a great encounter, and it really helped Lloyd's player kind of buy into the world and the game and have a great time. So that's, I guess, is my sort of GM summation for that. Just, your players may not even know why they're making the choices that they're making sometimes, but if you're willing to kind of run with it and see what happens, it can really bring out some great things into your table.